Should you build an iOS app in 2025 or is it too late? That's what we'll be talking about today, and let's dive right in. We'll start by talking about all of the reasons why you should not build an app in 2025, and then we'll talk about some of the reasons why you might actually want to consider this. And then at the end of the video, I'll give you my recommendation on how you should build your app if you decide this is something you want to do. So let's start with the reasons why you might not want to build this app. The first and probably the biggest reason why you don't want to build an app in 2025 is because you probably won't make much money if you do. This is a report published by TechCrunch, and it's using an analysis done by RevenueCat, who has over 30,000 apps on their platform. And what this is telling you is that most subscription apps do not make any money. This actually says that the median monthly revenue for an app after 12 months is less than $50 per month in US dollars. So if your goal is to make a lot of money with your app, whether your goal is to make the next $1 billion idea or if it's just to bring in some side income for you, this probably isn't the best route for you to take. Another reason why you might want to consider not making an app is because you'll have a lot of competition. The app stores are very overcrowded at this point, and so if you're going to make an app, you really need to make sure this is something you want to do. If you just look at July 2023, which is the most up-to-date data I could find, there's over 3.8 million apps and over 1 million games on the Apple App Store. And so if you release your app into an overcrowded app store, it's just going to be one app in a sea of apps, and it'll be really hard to differentiate yourself. And this is partially what contributes to so few apps actually making a significant amount of money. This issue that I'm talking about actually does not show any signs of getting better. In fact, it might get worse because now that artificial intelligence is being used to write a lot of code, we're going to see the number of apps and the quality of apps both go up. And so if you're trying to make an app in 2025, not only do you already have to compete with 5 million apps that are already there, but there's going to be more apps coming in the pipeline because artificial intelligence and low code and no code solutions, which aren't mentioned here, but those are also contributing to just an absolute proliferation in the amount of competition in this space. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of the benefits of building your own app. And one of them is that it will help your resume stand out. If you're someone that's in college or a recent graduate and you're struggling to land a job in tech, which is happening for a lot of people right now because a lot of the big tech companies have been doing just absolutely massive layoffs, and I'll talk more about those in future videos. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you know everything that's going on and you know how to position yourself to land one of those jobs. But we're on Indeed right now, and this is how to land a tech job. And one of the most important things they recommend is build a personal website. I think this would even be better if you were to build an app because that shows you know how to use in-demand, up-to-date skills and tech stacks that really show that you're worth getting a job. Another thing to consider is the earning potential of your application. Although we talked about earlier, most apps statistically will not make that much money. I mean, we talked about how the majority of apps will not become profitable, but there is a small chance that your app can make it big, and if you do, the earnings potential can be quite large. Here we're looking at how much money do some of the top apps on the App Store make, and this is telling us that the top 200 apps generate about $83,000 daily, and the top 800 apps generate around $3,500 daily. And so if your app does make it into that top list, it can become extremely profitable, so this can be quite lucrative for you. If you do plan on making an app, there are things you need to consider to make sure that your app can stand out and be successful on the App Store. The first one is the cost of development. Although artificial intelligence and these low-code and no-code solutions can be used to drive down your total development costs, there are still costs you need to be aware of, such as your cloud costs or your server costs, things like that. So make sure when you're looking at whether or not this app is worth it, that you check the ROI to see if it makes sense. The other thing is market fit. Given that there are so many apps on the App Store right now, you really want to make sure that your app is filling a void. Is your app doing something new, or is it doing something better than the apps that are already out there? If so, it might be worth developing. Another thing to think about is the sustainability of the app. Is this something that you actually think will be able to acquire and keep users once it has them? On the screen here, this is my app that's on the App Store, one of my apps, AcedCase. And the development cost for this app was not that high, but I have to make sure that I keep pushing updates to keep new content coming into the app, which is something that I plan on doing. And I'll be talking more on this channel about my development process and exactly what it costs to build this app and everything related to this app. So make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss those. One lesson I did learn when building this app is that even if your development costs are low, the cost of acquiring a user can actually be significantly higher. And so the challenge and difficulty might not be in just building the app, but it's actually getting people to use the app and marketing it and advertising it. So overall, do I think it's worth it to build an app in 2025? I do think it can be worth it. If you're just looking for something to put on your resume that helps you stand out, I definitely think it's worth it because a lot of people don't have apps on the App Store. So especially if you're applying to software development roles, this can be something that helps you stand out. Or even if you're not applying to software development roles, if you put an app out that can show that you understand your field in a way that maybe others don't, and so that can help you differentiate yourself. I also think it can be worth it if you have something that's new or an improvement on an existing app, and especially if you have the time to really invest in your app and treat it like a business more so than a hobby, then I think it can still be worth it for you to put your app on the App Store. If you're interested in technology, especially in that intersection between business, finance, and technology, make sure you subscribe to Revernos. And if you're interested in finance or consulting, make sure you download my app AcedCase, where you can go through interactive case simulations to prepare for your next case interview. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.